So you're piecing together your dream PC for 2025. You've got the CPU, the graphics card is ready to go, but now you're stuck on one of the biggest and most heated debates in PC building.
Before we move on, what is a CPU cooler? A CPU cooler is a device that helps to remove heat from the computer's central processing unit to avoid overheating, which is vital for maintaining the computer's performance, stability, and lifespan. There are primarily 5 types of coolers: air coolers, liquid coolers, custom water cooling, passive coolers, exotic or high-end cooling types. Nonetheless, we will concentrate on air coolers and liquid AIO coolers, as they are the most popular choices in the market today and are widely utilized by users.
Air cooler or liquid cooler. One side promises quiet, rock-solid reliability, while the other offers killer performance and show-stopping looks. But which one is actually the right call for your build and your wallet? Well, today we're settling the score, breaking down the best air and liquid coolers of 2025 to give you a definitive answer. The core debate: why your cooler matters more than ever. Choosing your CPU cooler isn't just a final touch, it's a critical decision for any gaming PC. As companies like Intel and AMD keep cramming more cores and higher clock speeds into their processors, those chips get seriously hot. Managing that heat isn't a suggestion, it's essential for keeping your system stable, fast, and alive for the long haul. A weak cooler leads to thermal throttling, which is your CPU's panic mode. It intentionally slows itself down to avoid a meltdown, meaning you aren't getting the horsepower you paid for, especially when you need it most. But this choice is about more than just preventing a fire. It's about how loud your PC gets, what it looks like, if the darn thing will even fit in your case, and of course, your budget. The 2025 market is packed with amazing options, from giant, whisper-quiet air towers to sleek, powerful, all-in-one liquid coolers. So let's settle this debate, starting with the basics. First up, the classic air cooler. The concept here is beautiful in its simplicity and has been the backbone of PC cooling for decades. It works by sucking heat away from your CPU using a copper base plate. That heat zips up a series of sealed heat pipes and into a huge stack of metal fins. A fan then blasts air across those fins, pushing the heat away and into your case. Just think of it as a personal radiator for your CPU that uses the air in your case as coolant. The advantages here are huge. First off, reliability. With fewer moving parts, basically just a fan, air coolers are incredibly dependable and have a ridiculously long lifespan. There's no pump that can fail and absolutely zero chance of a liquid leak. Second, you get incredible value. A great air cooler often delivers performance that can hang with or even beat entry-level liquid coolers, but for way less money. A top-tier air cooler is often the best performance per dollar you can get, period. Finally, installation is usually a lot more straightforward, but they're not perfect. Their biggest drawback is, well, their bigness. High-performance air coolers can be absolutely massive, which can cause clearance issues with your RAM or the side panel of your case. You have to check your case's max CPU cooler height before you buy. All that bulk also means it dumps the CPU's heat directly inside your case, so you need good case airflow to get it out. And while they can handle most CPUs with ease, they can be pushed to their limits by the hottest, most heavily overclocked chips. A perfect example of peak air cooling in 2025 is the Noctua NHD15G2. It's a dual tower monster that goes toe-to-toe with liquid coolers on performance while staying almost silent, proving just how incredible air cooling has become. Understanding liquid coolers, the high-performance challenger. Now for the other side of the aisle, all-in-one or AIO liquid coolers. If an air cooler is your CPU's personal radiator, an AIO is a full-blown liquid cooling system. It's made up of a water block that sits on your CPU, a pump, a couple of tubes, and a big radiator with fans. Here's the magic. A special coolant is pumped through the block, absorbing the CPU's heat. That hot liquid flows through a tube to the radiator. Fans on the radiator blow cool air across it, pulling the heat out of the liquid before it's sent back to the CPU to start the cycle all over again. The key advantage is that liquid is way better at transferring heat than air. This lets AIOs grab a ton of heat, move it away from the CPU fast, and exhaust it straight out of your case. This efficiency brings some serious perks. First is raw cooling performance, especially when you're hitting the CPU with a heavy long-term load. AIOs with big 280mm or 360mm radiators are the undisputed champs for taming beasts like a Core i9 or Ryzen 9, and they're pretty much a must-have for serious overclocking. They also give your build a clean, modern look, leaving the area around your CPU socket wide open. Many even come with RGB and fancy LCD screens for that extra flex. And since their radiator fans don't have to work as hard, they can actually be quieter when your PC is under heavy load. So what's the catch? Cost for one. AIOs are almost always more expensive than air coolers. Installation is also more involved, since you have to find a spot to mount a radiator, which isn't always easy. Then there's the fear factor, leaks. While incredibly rare on modern AIOs from good brands, the chance isn't zero, and it's a risk you just don't have with air. You also have more points of failure. The pump is the main one, which can wear out over several years. A major player in the 2025 market is the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 Pro. It delivers fantastic performance in all its sizes, often at a price that makes it one of the best value picks for an AIO. Section 4. The 2025 head-to-head breakdown. Okay, we know how they work, but how do they really compare where it counts? Performance and thermals. For the vast majority of gaming CPUs, your Core i5s, Ryzen 5s, and even most i7s and R7s, a premium air cooler is all you'll ever need. In fact, a budget hero like the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 SE can cool chips pulling over 200 watts, smashing coolers that cost twice as much. But when you step up to the top dog Core i9 and Ryzen 9 chips, or you want to push a serious overclock, a 280mm or 360mm AIO is the clear winner. They simply have a higher thermal capacity for the insane heat these chips throw out. Price and value. Air coolers are the undisputed kings of value. For anyone on a budget, you just can't beat the price to performance of a good air cooler. For under $50, you can get all the cooling you'll probably ever need. Liquid coolers carry a premium, not just for performance, but for looks. If your budget is tight, the money you save by choosing a great air cooler is better spent on a faster GPU. Noise levels, the nuanced truth. This is where we bust some myths. It's not as simple as liquid is quiet, air is loud. At idle, a quality air cooler is often quieter because it only has fan noise. An AIO has fan noise and the faint hum of the pump. But when you're in an intense gaming session, the tables can turn. A big 360mm AIO has a huge radiator, letting its fans spin slower and quieter than the one or two fans on an air cooler that's fighting for its life. So while top-tier air coolers are engineered to be quiet, a good AIO often wins the noise battle when the heat is on. Aesthetics and build cleanliness. This is totally subjective, but there's a definite divide. AIOs give you that clean, minimalist, high-tech vibe that defines a lot of modern builds. That open space around the CPU just looks slick. On the other hand, a massive dual-tower air cooler has its own kind of industrial, don't mess with me appeal. It looks powerful because it is powerful. This one's all you. Installation and maintenance. Air coolers win the Simplicity Award hands down. You mount a bracket, add thermal paste, and screw the tower on. AIOs make you mount the block and then play Tetris with the radiator and fans inside your case. Maintenance is similar for both. Just keep the dust out of the fans and radiator fins. For longevity though, Air coolers have the edge. They can last over a decade, while a good AIO has a typical lifespan of around 5 to 7 years before you might have to think about the pump's health. So, which should you buy? Use case scenarios for 2025. Let's boil all this down to some clear advice for your 2025 build. For the budget-conscious builder, it's an air cooler, no debate. A model like the Arctic Freezer 36 or Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 SE gives you absolutely phenomenal cooling for the money, freeing up cash for a better graphics card. For the mainstream gamer, Core i7/Ryzen 7. This is where you have a real choice. A premium air cooler like the Noctua NH-D15 G2 will serve you perfectly, giving you quiet performance and plenty of headroom. But if you love the AIO aesthetic or your case has questionable airflow, a 240mm or 280mm AIO like the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 is a fantastic and totally justifiable upgrade. For the high-end enthusiast and overclocker, Core i9/Ryzen 9. At this level, a powerful AIO is practically a requirement. You've bought a top-tier CPU, don't cripple it. A 360mm or even 420mm AIO is the tool you need to let that chip run wild without throttling. Look at models like the Corsair iQOO H170i Elite LCD XT or the NZXT Kraken Elite. They're built specifically for this. For the small form factor SFF builder, in a tiny case, every millimeter counts. AIOs are often the better choice here, but it's very case dependent. A giant air cooler might not physically fit, whereas a 120mm or 240mm AIO lets you mount the radiator on a side panel, freeing up precious space. Always check your case compatibility first. For the silent build purists, this one's tricky. While AIOs can be quieter under load, the quietest possible PC at idle will often have a massive, high-end air cooler with super slow fans. The total lack of pump hum gives air the edge for true silence chasers. You could even go with the Noctua NHP1 for a completely fanless, literally silent build on lower power CPUs. Now that you've got the facts, which side are you on for your 2025 build? Team Air or Team Liquid? Drop a comment below and tell us what you're choosing and why. Your build story might just be the final piece of the puzzle for someone else watching. And if this guy helped you decide, hitting that like and subscribe button would be a huge help. At the end of the day, there's no single best CPU cooler for everyone in 2025. The real story is that the debate has changed. It's not about one being flat out better than the other anymore. It's about picking the right tool for your specific job. Air cooling is the undisputed champion of value and reliability. Liquid cooling is the master of raw thermal performance and clean, modern aesthetics. Whether you choose the steadfast power of air or the cool efficiency of liquid, you're now ready to make the perfect choice for your CPU, your case, and your budget.